Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. For some context, I have 3 siblings. My half-sister 16, my stepbrother 24, and my stepsister 21. For the past 6 to 8 years, my stepsister has been living with her mom, who in my opinion is actually crazy, and tells non-stop lies about my stepdad, saying the usual crap. During this time, my mom and stepdad have tried numerous times to get my stepsister to come out to where they live for the summer, and trying to incorporate her as much as they could since she chose to live with her mom. These were always met with, "I'm too busy this summer," or "I have cheer so I can't make it." But unsurprisingly, if there was an expensive trip to another country or a cruise, she would have time. A few years ago, I brought this up to her and asked her what her deal was. She told me that my stepdad abandoned her and never came out to see her, and why should she put in the effort when he doesn't? This pissed me off because it's simply not true. My stepdad has, for the last few years, been busting his butt to give my family the best life and to leave the kids a little inheritance when he goes. When I told him her reasons, I could see the heartbreak in his face. So he tried even harder to make up for what he might have done. My sister never told me examples of what she was talking about. He tried his damn hardest, until one trip in 2021, my sister graduated high school and my stepdad and mom planned an insane 2-week vacation to Mexico to celebrate her graduation. My stepdad wouldn't be able to make the first week cause work, but he would have been there for the second week. I say would have because my mom and sisters went, and my stepsister went off on her own for 3 days, only coming back at night, refusing to hang out with my mom or sister. And on the 4th day, she went to my mom and said, "I miss my boyfriend," and demanded my mom send her home. My mom tried to convince her to stay, but to no avail, so she went home. And that was it, the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. My stepdad realized that no matter what he did, nothing would change, so he stopped trying. Since then, my stepsister has only reached out asking about trips. She had a kid and was actually in the same state as my parents for a couple days, but didn't say anything until the last day she was there. And even then, my stepdad drove the 6 hours to where she was, only to be met with silence. She didn't open the message asking where she was or answer the phone, only looking at it after she left. Since then, my stepdad just stopped caring, and last week struck her from his will, saying that if she doesn't want to be a part of the family, then she must not want the fruits of his labor. When she found out, she was not happy to say the least. She called me asking why he did that. I was dumbfounded. I asked, "Are you serious right now? You can't think of any possible reason as to why." I told her that she shouldn't be surprised why he cut her out when she only saw him as a wallet and claimed how bad of a dad he was. I told her that since she despised him so much, she shouldn't want anything to do with him. The next part is why I might be the a-hole. She said, "Well, what about your nephew? I'm a single mom and I need all the help I can get." And I said, "Oh, so your baby daddy up and left? Well, I guess now you know what a father abandoning their child really is. Maybe you should try apologizing to dad and maybe form a real family relationship with him." She hung up and no one has heard from her. So am I the a-hole? Well, I think it was completely inappropriate to send her on holiday with his wife and without him. Of course, she didn't want to be stuck with OP's mother. She wanted to see her dad, but she feels abandoned by him for good reason, and there's another one. That probably happens every time she visited, which is why she never visited. Now he's just proven that he has completely abandoned her and never loved her. He's leaving money to his wife and someone else's kid, but not his own daughter. Vile man. His lack of relationship with her is on him. He should have been spending one-on-one time with her instead of trying to foist his wife and new family on her. That's how he lost the relationship. If he was a good father to OP, it doesn't mean he was a good one to her. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Odd End says, "Sounds like you gave her a dose of reality, not the a-hole." Phrygian says, "Everyone sucks here. You both have clearly had drastically different experiences with your dad. I don't think it is fair to judge her as being wrong, based on your own perception of your dad." She says that her dad never came out to see her. You say he has been busting his butt to give his family the best life he can. It doesn't sound like that best life included any time to go visit his daughter. He was too busy working. So yes, it is factual that, to your stepsister, your father abandoned her. And if my math is right, it sounds like that abandonment happened when she was around 5? 21 and 16 for the half-siblings, assuming it is from your mom and stepdad, and not another baby daddy that is not in the picture anymore. It sounds like you live far away from each other, so if he was working so hard, it doesn't sound like he took much time to consider the daughter he left with her mother. Even the Mexico vacation, he took her and flew her to Mexico to hang out with her stepmom and stepsister, who she clearly had no significant relationship with for a week, before he could show up himself. That doesn't sound like a vacation to me. That sounds like extra stress from her point of view. I'm surprised she agreed to go at all. She is an a-hole for being so surprised and entitled to think that someone she has, justifiably in my opinion, pretty much cut all contact with, would still leave her money in his will. Zena Sebastian says, "Not the a-hole. Wow, your stepsister sounds like a spoiled brat. Your stepfather doesn't owe her a thing. I bet now that he is finished with her, he's much happier. He has you and your siblings. He doesn't need her BS." So, for background, I, female 26, and my husband, male 32, have been married for 3 years. He's a medical attorney, and I was a teacher until about 2 years ago. I ended up taking time off work to care for my sick mother, cancer, and then broke her hip. And when she passed, I just never went back to work. My husband and I talked, and we decided that it would be okay for me to be a stay-at-home wife. Finances are fine, we aren't tight for money, and being a teacher was becoming horrible. We don't have children, but we definitely want them in the future. My husband's sister and I were always close. When I was dating my husband, we did everything together, and we still do. She has 2 kids, a son who is 4, and a newborn girl who is 4 months. Ever since having her baby girl, she's been suffering, I think with PPD. From the time the baby was only 5 weeks old, my sister-in-law was dropping her off at my husband and I's home for entire nights. I personally don't have a problem with this, but my husband did, especially when the baby would wake him up screaming at night. She's honestly a really easy baby though. I was able to get her to sleep through the night more than a few times. My husband wanted to tell his sister and brother-in-law to stop dumping their baby on us and causing me stress, but I calmed him down a bit and told him that it didn't bother me, especially because I don't work anymore, and explained how scary PPD can be. Well, then it got worse. I was almost like this baby girl's full-time caretaker. I mean, it was to the point where I was considering buying a car seat so that I could get lunch while she was still with me. Sometimes my husband calls me when he's between cases at work, and I missed his call once, which sent him into another spiral about wanting to tell them basically to F off. However, the argument didn't ensue until last week. I was watching the baby again, of course, and she had been with me for a few hours, and it was around 6 p.m. Usually, sister-in-law sends her with breast milk that I obviously keep in the fridge. However, sister-in-law dropped her off so fast, she forgot to mention it, and I forgot to check the bag, and the milk ended up not getting refrigerated. When it was time to feed her, I realized. I texted and called her, but no answer. I called my husband to text and call, no answer. Eventually, I just said, "Duck it," and when my husband got off work, he got formula. I googled what would be the best one, and he did his best in trying to find it. He had to go to 2 different stores. Finally, when sister-in-law called me back, she exploded on us about giving her baby formula. She said it was bad for her, would mess up her system, just all these things that I don't think are necessarily true. Baby doesn't have any medical reason to need breast milk or to be off formula. Still though, I felt horrible obviously, especially because it was my fault I left the breast milk in the bag. But my husband got mad. He told his sister everything he had been wanting to say for weeks, and I ended up saying, "Fine, if you're going to be like this, I won't ever watch her again." She also attacked me for being selfish, for living off my husband, being entitled. Well, that caused an even bigger argument. I sided with my husband though, and didn't take back what I said. It's been a week, and my sister-in-law won't talk to either of us. I feel horrible on one hand because I know she's struggling, but on the other, I feel like she's taking advantage of me. I don't know. Am I the a-hole? OP's sister-in-law is definitely in the wrong here. OP tried to contact her, and she did not reply. Parents should always be available for their kids, or to respond to issues with their children when the child is with someone else. What if the baby had gotten ill? People who ask others to essentially raise their newborn don't get to be upset when they don't do exactly what they would do. Of course, we are all sympathetic to PPD, especially when it's severe, but it's not appropriate for OP to be watching her infant overnight at her house. It's almost as if she is abandoning the child with OP. OP needs to listen to her husband. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Jareth's Bulge says, Not the a-hole. The audacity to call your free babysitter entitled. Dry Measurement 8425 says, Info. What was sister-in-law doing with all this free time? Work or? Not the a-hole. Yes, you forgot to refrigerate the breast milk. Stuff happens. I can't tell you how many times I ruined breast milk when my girl was a baby. Formula should not hurt the baby by any means unless there was some unknown allergy to it. Is breast milk better for her? Sure. Is formula bad for her? Not at all. Plenty of families use formula or supplement with formula in their infants' diets. You did nothing wrong. You were a great aunt. Your sister-in-law overreacted and is being childish. Your husband seems to be stressed out about the situation, though, and hopefully he can find some time to wind down and take a breath. I'm sure being a medical attorney is stressful enough. I would try and see if you can talk to your sister-in-law if she would be up to being checked and cared for PPD. Odd End 1405 says, Not the a-hole. You were being used. There's no nice way to say it. Struggling is one thing. Dumping her kid on you all the time is another. Does she have a side piece, going out with girlfriends? You don't know because she didn't respect you enough to tell you why she needed you to watch her, where she would be, nor even bother to pick up the telephone when you, the person who has her baby, calls. You should have respected your husband's feelings a bit more, to be honest. It is his house also, his wife, his free time you were impacting. The fact that he kept bringing it up meant that it was something important to him, and you should have offered him the basic respect to take into consideration his feelings. Don't worry about the user. She will be begging her way back in soon enough. You need to keep the boundary strong, though. My brother's wedding is very close on the horizon, and I agreed to be a bridesmaid. I'm having a hard time figuring out what's reasonable and unreasonable here. Frankly, I am very, very seriously considering dropping out of the bridal party, but I want a gut check before I do something nuclear. Some background. The wedding will be in an exclusive social club in Palm Beach, where her folks live. The bride and groom both live in Manhattan and work in finance. My brother and I come from a middle-class family, and we have a big ethnic, not wealthy family. The bride's parents grew up middle class and are now exorbitantly wealthy. The bride grew up exorbitantly wealthy and, frankly, is not used to hearing no. I went to art school and have a couple tattoos on my arms. Think plants and animals, and am a middle-class earner. I'm going to refer to the bride as J. She hasn't asked me for anything during the planning process. She's demanded it. I admittedly bristle at this in general, but I'm trying to untangle that feeling from the requests themselves. So here are the demands. 1. Before they even got engaged, my brother warned me that she wants me to wear sleeves to the wedding. He said he tried to convince her otherwise, but she's steadfast. It's a black tie engagement. She picked my bridesmaid dress and had my brother give it to me without saying anything. All of the bridesmaids are wearing different dresses. Mine has full-length sheer polyester sleeves. The dress looks bad on me and is uncomfortable, which seems par for the course for a bridesmaid's dress, but I'm really upset by the sleeves. Nobody else's dress has sleeves, and they don't even hide my tattoos completely. I offered to help her find another dress and wear body makeup to cover my tattoos. No, she wants me in the sleeves. I'm pretty deeply hurt by this, and my parents and husband are both upset on my behalf. I have the dress in my office to take to the tailor, and every time I look at it, I just see a burning reminder that she is so embarrassed by my body. She determined 18 months in advance that she'd want it covered up on her big day. And she's not even covering it well or completely. 2. The wedding weekend itinerary. Jay just sent her bridesmaids a detailed wedding itinerary, and every waking moment after my plane lands will be spent being her bridesmaid. There are back-to-back events for 2 days leading up to the wedding, and on the wedding day, I'm expected to be with her from 7:30 a.m. until 1 a.m. What chaps me here is it's my brother's wedding. Family is coming from all over, many of whom I only get to see at weddings and funerals nowadays, and I don't want anyone to die soon, so I better enjoy him at this wedding. And it's my brother's wedding, but it sounds like I'll never really get to spend time with him, much less relax and enjoy the scenery. 3. The minor demands. I'm expected to arrive in Florida with a spray tan and pale pink mani-pedi. We're not allowed to wear any jewelry. I have a brass bangle on my wrist that hasn't come off in 5 years because it's molded to my arm, and she expects me to take it off. We're having our hair and makeup done by her artist, which is pretty normal, but I never wear full-face makeup or heat treat my hair, and she's made it clear I will be made up her way, involving full foundation and a flat iron. There are also dress codes for every minor event, including a brunch at a conservative country club with strict codes where they don't let girls wear pants. She provided a list of vibes to build our outfits around for each event, such as elevated island cocktail attire, and has provided colors she would like us to dress in. I consider myself fashionable, but my sense of fashion is my own. My wardrobe has a very limited overlap with any of the outfits she wants us to wear. There are at least 7 different events with their own dress codes. I buy clothing very intentionally. Think capsule wardrobe. And the idea of having to go spend my money on a bunch of clothing for individual events really bothers me, especially because she's made it clear she's not looking for my interpretation of a style. She wants me to fit a mold. There's more little things, but those are my big personal hang-ups. There are similar issues with other folks. Jay's gotten upset with my family because nobody booked rooms in the hotel blocks, and now they have to pay. The rooms cost $400 to $950 a night, by the way. Jay and my brother told my parents to pay for the rehearsal dinner. It's going to be $15,000 to $20,000 minimum. My mom has stopped paying into her retirement savings to afford it. My family's Jewish, and she's made comments indicating she doesn't want too much Jewish stuff at the wedding. She's insisted that she's going to take everyone's chairs away during the reception so everyone has to dance. When I pressed, she clarified that she was not joking, and yes, she will even take away our 91-year-old grandmother's chair. That one actually pissed me off. You don't even joke about that, much less insist you're not joking. Her attitude about all this seems to be that she's the star, which is totally fair on your wedding day, and that everyone else is an accessory, including me. I'm just not sure how normal that part is. It feels awful, and I'm honestly dreading the whole event. I feel dehumanized. Frankly, the main reason I haven't pushed back or dropped out until now is that in the event my brother ever needs my support, like marital struggles, I don't want him to hesitate to come to me. If I start a fight now, I could 100% see Jay making him choose me or her, and I think he would have to pick her, especially with this high-dollar wedding behind them. On the other hand, if I drop out of the wedding party, the wedding weekend sounds super fun without all of these constraints. What do you guys think? Is she a bridezilla, or am I just being overly sensitive? So much bridezilla. I think OP should tell her brother that she is backing out of being the bridesmaid, as she is unable to perform duties to her expectations and standards as a bridesmaid. It's understandable that OP is annoyed with all her crazy demands. But I'd be more disappointed in my brother. He's letting her treat his family poorly. Who takes a chair from someone in their 90s? OP should have a serious talk with him, in my opinion. And now let's hear what the community has to say on the matter. Sweet Melissa Nash says, "You are not overreacting. She's reaching bridezilla territory with all the demands." Puddle Lilac again says, "She's insisted that she's going to take everyone's chairs away during the reception so everyone has to dance. Your 91-year-old grandmother, pregnant women, people with chronic fatigue or injuries, handicapped people, self-conscious people. Myself, I would leave. No one is going to force me to dance for someone's delusionary fantasy."